Have you ever stopped to wonder how we take our big, three-dimensional world and just squash it onto a flat screen or a piece of paper, but still make it look real? Well, it turns out there's a kind of secret language that makes it all possible, an elegant set of rules for capturing space itself. And that's what we're going to dive into today, the world of descriptive geometry.
So this is the big puzzle, right? It's a question that has stumped artists, engineers, and thinkers for, well, centuries. How do you possibly create that illusion of depth, of something being far away, of solid objects having weight and volume, all on a simple 2D plane? It's really a translation problem. How do you translate the language of space into the language of a flat page?
And this just shows you the difference a good translation makes. I mean, look, on the left, you've got an early painting. Sure, the objects are there, but that feeling of depth is just kind of off, you know? Now, look at the right, a Renaissance masterpiece. The depth in that room is incredible. The way the table seems to go back into the painting, the way the people feel like they're actually in that space. The difference isn't just about artistic skill, it's about using a system.
And that system, that secret language we keep talking about, it's called descriptive geometry. And believe me, it's not some dusty old math topic. It is the literal grammar of how we see and represent our 3D reality. And once you start to learn its rules, you'll start to see the entire world a little differently.
You know, this isn't some newfangled idea. Way back when, Plato got it. He saw that geometry was so much more than just drawing shapes and lines. For him, it was a profound tool for understanding the real structure of the universe, a way to get closer to the truth of things.
And that's really the heart of it. Descriptive geometry gives us the clear, unmistakable rules for that translation we were talking about. It's the instruction manual that lets an architect draw up a skyscraper, or a game designer build an entire virtual world, or an artist paint a landscape that you feel like you could walk right into.
Okay, so let's get into the most fundamental concept in this whole language, the idea of projection. Honestly, the absolute easiest way to think about it is to just imagine you're casting a shadow. So in fancy, formal terms, that's what projection is. It's just a method, a kind of recipe for taking every single point of a 3D object and figuring out where its matching spot is on a 2D surface.
It really is that simple. Just picture a cube floating in the middle of a room. Now you shine a flashlight on it. That shadow the cube makes on the wall, that's its projection. The drawing is the shadow. The only things that ever change are where you stand with the flashlight and what kind of light it's putting out.
And that one simple change, the type of light, creates two completely different dialects of this language. Over on the left, we've got central projection. This acts like a single light bulb in a room. See how the rays of light spread out? That creates perspective, where stuff that's farther away looks smaller. That's how our eyes work. But on the right, you have parallel projection. This is more like the sun, where the light rays are basically parallel. This preserves an object's true measurements without any distortion. This is what engineers and architects absolutely need.
And what's wild is that these core ideas are not new at all. In fact, this geometric grammar has been the engine behind visual creation for more than 500 years, directly connecting the art of the past with the amazing technology we have today.
So it all kind of kicks off in the Renaissance with brilliant artists finally cracking the code of perspective. Then, in the 18th century, mathematicians jumped in and formalized everything. A guy named Gaspard Monge basically turned it into a real, rigorous discipline. And the craziest part? Those exact same principles are now literally hardwired into the software that designs our cars, our buildings, and creates the mind-blowing visual effects you see in movies today.
I mean, just look at this. On the left, a geometric drawing from the 1700s, all worked out meticulously by hand. On the right, a super complex architectural model designed by a student today. The tools couldn't be more different, pen and ink versus powerful software. But the underlying language, the core geometry of projection, it is identical.
But here, right here, is where the story gets really exciting. Because modern technology hasn't just made the old methods faster, it has completely changed how we interact with this language, turning it from something static and frozen on a page into something dynamic and alive.
So instead of just ending up with a single drawing on paper, these modern tools let us build a digital model. We can actually grab it, spin it around, look at it from any possible angle, and change how it works on the fly. This totally transforms learning from, a passive exercise into a really active hands-on exploration.
And the results are just incredible. I mean, take a look at something like this complex spiral staircase. Trying to visualize and draw this perfectly on paper would be a huge, massive challenge. But with these tools, the geometry is just handled with perfect precision.
Or we can scale things way up to a huge structure like the Eiffel Tower. Every single beam, every truss is placed exactly according to those geometric rules we've been talking about, allowing for this insane level of detail and accuracy.
We can even use that central projection, the one that works like our eyes, to design an entire room. You can really feel the depth of this gallery, just like in those old Renaissance paintings. But the difference is, now we can actually walk through it digitally.
And it's not just for making realistic objects. These tools let us visualize things that are pure math, like this complex, wavy surface. It turns these abstract equations into something tangible, something beautiful you can actually see and understand.
So why does any of this matter? What's the big takeaway? Well, it's that learning this language isn't just about getting better at drawing or using some fancy software. It's about fundamentally changing the way you see the world.
At the end of the day, what we're really talking about is developing visual literacy. Think about it. We live in a world that is just flooded with images, with data visualizations, with 3D models. Being able to understand the underlying geometry that built them, well, that gives you a powerful tool to really interpret and analyze everything you see.
You know, the source material puts it perfectly. It says the ultimate goal here is to develop something called spatial ability. That's your brain's knack for understanding and reasoning about objects in space. It is an absolutely critical skill in science, technology, engineering, art, you name it.
So, I'll leave you with this question. The next time you look at a building, or a movie special effect, or even just a photograph, take a second. See if you can spot the grammar at play. See if you can see the vanishing points, the type of projection, the secret language of space that's been hiding in plain sight all along.